The Donald Trump who ran for president and the Donald Trump who is now president could not be more different. His priorities have completely shifted, and that's because when Donald Trump was on the campaign trail, he was lying. Now, he's far more open about what actually matters to him, and it's painfully obvious. Donald Trump's real focus is enriching himself and going after his political enemies. Out of all his so-called policy goals, affordability is clearly not one of them. What Donald Trump truly cares about is his ballroom. He has made that clear. Carolyn Levitt has made that clear, and there is no confusion about it. If there's one thing Donald Trump is fully locked in on, it's the ballroom. That's why he fired the architect. That's why he keeps talking about it nonstop, and that's exactly why he is furious now that a new lawsuit has completely blown up his plans. We are going to break all of that down. But before we do, if I could quickly ask you to leave a like on this video, and if you haven't already and you enjoy the channel, hit that subscribe button because it goes a long way in supporting our work. Now, before we get into this breaking news about how Donald Trump's ballroom just had a major bombshell dropped on it, I want to start with someone who has been calling this project out from the very beginning for the monstrosity that it is, and that is Gavin Newsom right here.
State the obvious, the state of mind of Donald Trump, the derangement that he's going to use hunger, starvation, to put families, children, during the holidays, the absurdity of that as he's celebrating as you suggest, no longer it's likely to be $350 million monstrosity of 90,000 square foot ballroom where he's demanding $230 million from the American people for some tithing because of his feeling aggrieved about legal affairs in the past, where he's sitting there at Mar-a-Lago around the roaring 20s as we are paying the highest taxes since the 1930s in terms of these tariff taxes. And we just paid more, as I said, for Halloween candy, and we'll pay record prices for toys in a matter of weeks for Christmas.
It honestly does not get more hypocritical than Donald Trump and this ridiculous ballroom. This is the same man who spent his entire campaign insisting that he would lower prices, not eventually, but immediately, on day one. Instead, the exact opposite has happened. We are well past day one, past counting days at all, and everything is getting more expensive. Prices are rising across the board. Nothing is staying the same. The economic and material conditions for people in this country have only gotten worse, and Donald Trump could not care less. Why? Because the small circle of wealthy men he actually serves, the same rich donors helping bankroll this ballroom, are happy. And yes, I still firmly believe that in one way or another, we will end up paying for this with our tax dollars. As long as Trump's wealthy friends are satisfied, as long as they're taken care of, Donald Trump is thrilled. That's all that matters to him. He wants constant praise. He wants to pretend he's some tough guy, and he wants to spend his time surrounded by other rich elites. That is who Donald Trump is. That is why this ballroom is being built. And that is exactly why Carolyn Levitt has been throwing out every excuse, spin, and outright lie possible when questioned about the legality of it. At this point, we don't even need to debate whether it's right or wrong. It's absurd. It's going to be an eyesore. Frankly, it should be torn down or renamed after Barack Obama. But Carolyn Levitt clearly disagrees. She recently gave this response when pressed about the legality of the project. And before we get into this lawsuit, there's one important detail you need to know.
Explained that the reason you didn't submit construction plans to the NCPC is because that commission, along with others, don't have oversight over demolitions, but only over construction. And so far, you haven't built anything. So can you help us understand, can the president tear down anything he wants without oversight? Could he demolish this building or, say, the Jefferson Memorial?
So it's not the president who came up with that legal opinion himself. That's a legal opinion that's been held by the NCPC for many years. It's written, so we can get you that background and that research if you wish to include it in your reporting, because it is very important. They have ruled consistently, their general counsel has said, when it comes to phase one of this project, the tearing down of the current East Wing structure, a submission is not required legally for that. Only for vertical construction will a submission be required, and that's a legal opinion from them, and we are following that legal opinion. And again, I would just add, can any president do such a thing to the White House grounds? There have been many presidents in the past who have made their mark on this beautiful White House complex. This briefing room, as you all know, was not once a briefing room. It was a swimming pool. There have been presidents who have completely torn down the executive mansion. If you look at what President Truman did, some of the photos of the construction project that took place in those years, I think sitting here today, we're all grateful for those efforts and the modifications that happened at that time. And again, in due time, the East Wing is going to be more beautiful and modern than ever before. And in addition, there will be a big, beautiful ballroom that can hold big parties and state visits for generations to come.
So it sounds like the answer is yes, he can tear down whatever he wants. And then secondly,
that's not what we're saying. That's a legal opinion that's been held for many years.
And interpreting it.
No, it's something that presidents have done for years and years. In fact, I have some photos here. Thank you, Pat, to show you the construction that's taken place on the White House grounds. This is the construction of the West Wing in 1902.
So Carolyn Levitt is making the comparison between a press briefing room replacing the swimming pool and a ballroom that nobody asked for or needed replacing the East Wing. I do not think that those are the same. I don't think that that's serving the same purpose. Donald Trump likes throwing his big gaudy parties. He likes slapping gold on things. He likes slapping his name on things. That's what this project is about. And I'm tired of anyone in MAGA pretending like that is not the case, trying to make excuses as if Donald Trump has this great reverence for the history of our nation that he wants to be a part of it. He doesn't. He just wants people to say his name and put his name places, which is why this bombshell lawsuit is really going to upset him. Trump ballroom thrown into jeopardy with legal move. Donald Trump's White House ballroom is being challenged in court by a preservation group accusing the president of overstepping his authority to fast-track the controversial project. Weeks after Trump demolished the historic East Wing of the White House to make way for the $300 million ballroom, the National Trust Preservation Committee has filed the first major lawsuit attempting to halt further construction until a legally mandated review process can take place. This would include a public comment period, giving Americans the chance to have a say in the future of this much-loved building. No president is legally allowed to tear down portions of the White House without any review whatsoever. Not President Trump, not President Biden, not anyone else, says the group's complaint, which was filed in the U.S. District Court for the District of Columbia. And no president is legally allowed to construct a ballroom on public property without giving the public the opportunity to weigh in. Donald Trump's efforts to do so should be immediately halted, and work on the ballroom project should be paused until the defendants complete the required reviews. Reviews that should have taken place before the defendants demolished the East Wing and before they began construction of the ballroom and secure the necessary approvals. I have to admit, there's something a little delicious about the idea that the same stalling tactics Donald Trump used in his criminal cases might end up being the reason this ridiculous ballroom never actually gets built. After all, delay was Trump's entire legal strategy. That, combined with Merrick Garland completely failing to do his job, is a big part of why Trump is president right now. So if that exact same slow walk, procedural grind ends up killing Trump's precious ballroom, there's a certain poetic justice in that. And honestly, that's exactly what needs to happen here. We forget this far too often, and I'm going to have Jamie Raskin back on the show soon because he's my favorite, and he always reminds us that we actually win a lot of lawsuits. Donald Trump gets blocked, enjoined, and shut down constantly. He loses in court at an overwhelming rate, something like 95%. Despite how much he wants you to believe he's some inevitable, unstoppable dictator, that's simply not true. Donald Trump fails. Donald Trump gets stopped. And just because the Supreme Court has been corrupted by conservative billionaires flying Clarence Thomas around on luxury trips doesn't mean every lower court is going to roll over. Plenty of judges still side with the law, and plenty of them are more than willing to blow up Trump's plans. Getting in the way of this ballroom would do three very important things. First, it would absolutely infuriate Donald Trump, which is objectively fun. Second, it would create massive headaches for Caroline Leavitt, and I genuinely don't know how saying that doesn't already make me smile. And third, and most importantly, it would shine a bright spotlight on what Donald Trump actually cares about. Because no, the ballroom is not the most important policy issue facing this country, but that's exactly the point. The fact that it matters so much to him tells us everything. We should keep talking about the ballroom, the destruction of the East Wing, and the broader context surrounding all of this, which is Donald Trump's total and complete abandonment of working-class people. This is a man who ran a fake populist movement and then immediately threw real working people under the bus at every opportunity. 20 million people are about to lose health care. The largest tax cut for the rich in world history is being pushed through. And what is Donald Trump focused on? A ballroom. When he's awake, he's thinking about a ballroom. Pete Hegseth is a war criminal. Kash Patel is an idiot. Pam Bandy is wildly incompetent. And who's the one person Trump fired? The architect for the ballroom. Because that's where Trump demands perfection. That's where he insists everything be exactly to his liking. If anything in this administration is going to be done right, in Trump's mind, it's the ballroom. That's how much he cares about throwing big, gaudy, Botox-filled parties in Washington the same way he already does at Mar-a-Lago. And yes, that moral stench that follows those Mar-a-Lago gatherings around, we should absolutely be talking about it. Honestly, I think it's time we bring back MAGA body shaming. I do. I have zero respect for people who are that morally repulsive. One thing the left has completely failed to do in recent years is create a clear, strong caricature of the people we're actually up against. When many people still think of Republicans, they picture tough on crime or good for the economy, even though Republicans have presided over most of the last recessions. Or they think of border security, despite Trump lying and fear-mongering about immigration his entire career. Meanwhile, liberals are often portrayed as nags, annoying, over-regulating, always getting in the way. That's backwards. The people who want to control your life, tell you who you can love, harass teachers for reading books, and scream at school boards because of something they saw on Facebook. That's MAGA. Those are the people trying to make every decision for everyone else. They're the same people who freak out over a black man existing in a park or who call the cops on kids running a lemonade stand because they don't have a permit. They're racist, entitled, and completely detached from reality. And yes, I'm on a rant, and that's fine. Those people are MAGA. That's what MAGA is. They hound you. They harass you. They exist solely to create problems. That's the cultural domination they're pushing, financed by right-wing billionaires like Larry Ellison, who's trying to buy up media companies to shove pro-Trump garbage down everyone's throat and turn CNN into Fox News Light. These people are making life worse on purpose, for profit, for power, and for control. They're censoring media, pushing hosts off the air, warping culture, and hollowing everything out. They're scolds. They're nags. They're morally bankrupt. And that's exactly what this ballroom represents. Empty, tacky, corrupt, and offensive. An eyesore that costs too much and exists for no one but Trump's ego. That's what the right looks like to normal people. Weird, antisocial, deeply unpleasant people. Sure, they'll have their little parties, but from the bottom of my heart this holiday season, screw them. And we're going to keep calling them out on this show. If you want to support that, as always, you can hit that subscribe button, leave a like on this video. If you made it all the way to the end, honestly, I'm impressed because I really went off today. Drop a blue heart in the comments. And until next time, I will see you soon.